All right, this is the I.S.U.P.K Wednesday law class. We're running a bit late due to traffic. Give me 1 second. Let's pull up my notes. Switch the volumes to up. Give me 1 second. All right, this is the I.S.U.P.K Wednesday law class. Also, remember, check out Commanding General YAHANNA's radio show, which is what? Monday, 2 a.m. See if this sounds go up. Which is Monday, 2 a.m. UK time. Also, what? Check out the classes in the States, which is Tuesday through Friday, which is midnight our time. Also, there's classes here Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. till 9. Feel free to come down to those, man. 394 Lodge Road, Hockley, B18, man. 394 Lodge Road, B18 5PW, man. Come on down, experience the classes in person. Also, we got the High Holy Day coming up this Sunday. Because as you know, with Tabernacles, it's a holy convocation in the start of it, and there's another holy convocation 8 days later on the end of it. And the holy convocation we had was when Saturday gone, and this holy convocation is this Sunday. So coming down to the school, man, 394 Lodge Road. Also, earlier in the day, this same Sunday, the sister Tazanawa is hosting a cake and wine event. She's hosting a cake and wine event where if you want to, participants can bake a cake, and the winner wins a prize and so forth. And there's going to be things for the kids. And you know that women stuff when the women do the cooking and all the games. I don't know too much info, just know the cooking, and there's games for the kids. And there's going to be cake there and wine and so forth. Coming down to that. That is starting at 3 p.m. So that will be 3 p.m. till about 6 p.m. Then after that, we're going to kick off the feast day, man, once the sun goes down. And today we're going to be doing part 3 of this Black history, because with Esau, the only Black history that they show us is us on the defense, us getting beaten up, us going to slavery. They made it like our history started with slavery. So 2 weeks ago, we started off with the origin of us. We started off with how we descend from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, how the Lord promised us a land, and chose us and said that we're his people, and said that if we obey him, we would be the greatest thing on the face of this earth. So we started off with that. And then we also went into how nowadays Esau tries to say we didn't know what gold was. We didn't know what this was. So we went into scriptures to show that we knew exactly what gold was, how Solomon drank out of gold vessels, man. How Solomon had gold and all kinds of things on the throne. We also went into all of that. We also went into that Solomon was a black man, Christ is a black man, how the Bible is a black man's book, how all those men was wise, and how we the originators of near enough everything, man. Also people learned to wash from black people, man. You know why? Because we had laws on cleanliness, man. We had laws on if you come into contact with a dead body, you stay away for 7 days and you're unclean. We had laws on when it's a woman's time of the month, she's unclean, man. We had laws on have a wash, clean yourself, man. We knew what these things was. How do you think Mary knew what precious ointment was, man? How you think she knew what ointment was? Ointment is what? Something that makes you smell nice, man. Something that makes you smell nice. Today they call it a fragrance. Yeah, today they call it a fragrance and so forth. We had all these things, man. We had fragrances and all these things. The fragrances we had back then was better than today, man. Because back then they used to put it in what? Alabaster box, which preserves the smell and so forth. So back what they were smelling back then is way better than these watered down ones that they sell you today. You think you're paying for 100% fragrance, but really most of it is just water and other stuff and whatnot. Bit of alcohol and a bit of perfume, and really it's what they're giving you today. It's not 100% pure, man. Whereas back then, what we had was 100% pure. So we went into all of that, man, and then we also went into what? We also went into because we messed up how Christ had to come redeem us, and then he told us what? When you see Jerusalem compassed with armies, flee into the mountains. Where did we flee into? We fled into West Africa, man. And then when we went there, we just continued to sin and continued to sin. Because what did we do? Started to learn African customs, started to learn African culture. And the same people whose culture we wanted to learn, the same people who the Lord told us not to copy, who we wanted to copy, guess what they did? They went and sold us, man. They went and sold us into slavery to the Europeans. We also brought out the book, and then we covered that. And then I think that's where we ended it. Yeah, so we're going to pick it up today. So we're going to pick up today in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 32. So that's where we left off yesterday, where we went on cargo slave ships, man. So the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 32. So lucky, I'm just trying to see the comments, but the screen's looking a little weird. Give me 1 second. Let me see if we can shrink it. Oh, don't let me. Give me 1 second. Online, I am Judas at Cannock. I just got back from Naples and I went to the catacombs of Naples, how you pronounce it, and I saw the Adam and Eve relic in color. Damn, yeah, if you got a picture that I like to see that, a picture in color of Adam and Eve in color, I like to see that. Because Adam and Eve was what? People of color. Only today, the white people. And also, if you look up the apple, that goes back. The reason they got the apple in the pictures is because what? That goes back to some Greek god. I can't remember the name of it, but the apple that they have in the picture, that goes back to some Greek god and some nonsense. So most of these things you see today, most of these name brands and whatnot, goes back to some kind of Greek god or Roman mythology or whatever. It all goes back to something silly like that. Most things that you see, even the name of cars and so forth, even the name of cars sometimes goes back to some Greek god or some Roman mythology. Esau's everything he puts in your face is basically for you to worship him, man. Everything he gives you is basically for you to worship him and you to reverence him. But we're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 32. The book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people. So it says, your sons and your daughters shall be given unto another people. And everybody knows what? During slavery, man, your sons and your daughters was given unto another people. Now people hear this and people don't understand how deep this is, man. Just think about it. Those little kids, man, that you've known your whole life. Those little kids who you're meant to guide and protect and nurture. Those little kids who you're meant to raise. One day someone takes them away, man. Imagine one day someone takes them away and those kids ain't never coming back, man. And all you can do is cry your eyes out. All you can do is cry your eyes out, man. You go to sleep. You dream about your kids, man. You go to sleep. You dream about your kids. You have a dream that your kids are there with you, man. You wake up and those kids ain't there. All you're doing is crying your eyes out. Listen, man. And people tell me, I must forgive this devil. How, man? How can we forgive him when he's got what? Rich off the back of us, man. And then he gives us a month for slavery, like what? Our history is only important for what? 1 month. He gives you 1 month and says, you know what? have this. This is your history month. And the whole only history it gives you is you being on the receiving end of whatnot. They don't tell you why you going through these things. They don't tell us why we're going through these things. They don't tell us that we disobeyed God. They don't tell us that if we serve God, we would rule over them again, man. But let me read on. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and then I shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long. And you're gonna long for your kids all the day long, meaning what? You're gonna want to see your kids, man. You're gonna want your kids back. You're gonna be crying your eyes out. You're not gonna be able to cope. You know what a mother's like when she loses her son, right? Just imagine this in slavery, man. Obviously, you imagine this in slavery. You're living under someone that's whipping you, that's beating you, that's torturing you, and someone else has got your kids, and you know that your kids is being tortured on the other side, man. That little kid that you love so much, who you meant to guide and protect and love, you know they're somewhere getting their back whipped. You know they're somewhere picking cotton, man. And all you can do is cry your eyes out and long for them. All you can do is cry your eyes out and beg for them back and ask your master, please let me see my child. Please let me see my child just for 5 minutes. You're crying your eyes out, man. You're holding your hands out on your knees, begging, please let me see my child. And your slave master says, you know what? Be a good slave and I'll let you see them. You be a good slave and you still don't see them, man. You're crying for something that's yours, man. And this devil just whips you, man, and don't let you see them, because what? To him, it's just business. To him, this is just business, man. To him, he just needs his plantation built. To him, he just needs what? You to pick cotton, you to pick sugar cane. He don't care about the struggle you go through. He don't care about the tears you shed. He don't care about the bond you've got with your children. Same like now, man. Nothing's changed. They don't care about the bond you have with your children, man. That's why they just shoot them dead in the streets. That's why they choke them to death, man. That's why they throw them in prison for life. They don't care, man. But when it's their children, what? We must cry for them. We must feel sorry for them. The whole world must stop. The whole world must do a 2-minute silence. The whole world must search for Madeleine McCann. Listen, man. To hell with Madeleine McCann, that's not our problem, man. Who gives a damn about that devil, man? Our children was taken away from us. And now they want us to what? Care for Madeleine McCann. Oh, donate so they can find Madeleine McCann. Listen, I ain't donating a penny, man, and I hope they don't find her, man, because I don't give a damn. What about our children, man? What about our people? And this is the spirit and mindset we need to have in this place. When these things happen to them, we need to not give a damn. You know why? Because they didn't give a damn about us, man. Why we care about them? Why we care about them? Shalom, Yahweh, Shem, Kafar. Can't it's 12. Go ahead. Yeah, it's 12. Yes, sir. No, sir. All right, Shalom, Lord in Christ. So imagine you're crying for your children, man. We're crying our eyes out, man. Crying, can barely cope. And our children is what? In the hands of some devil being molested, man. In the hands of some devil being whipped. In the hands of some devil being murdered. And then lo and behold, 2019, I'm supposed to cry for Madeleine McCann. I'm supposed to cry for the kids of these other nations. I'm supposed to care about some kids in Africa. I'm supposed to donate money to UNICEF for them African kids to get water. To hell with that, man. I ain't doing that, man. What about our kids, man? What about our kids in the ghetto, man? What about our kids in jail? What about our kids being murdered, man? That's who we should cry for, instead of them trying to get us to love everybody. Let me read on. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eye shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand. And we had no might in our hand, man. Meaning what? You couldn't fight for your kids. You couldn't go to court and say, this is my child. I want custody. No. There was none of that. There was nothing you could do. There was nothing you could do. There was nothing you could do. Nobody you could speak to. There was nothing at all you could do, man. You see that child? That child was just gone somewhere, and you wouldn't find out where, man. You would often what? Die before you even see that child again. That's how rough slavery was. That's how rough slavery was, man. let me read on. There shall be no might in thine hand. From there, we're going to go to what? Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 27. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4 and verse 27. And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations. And this was us, man. We was what? We scattered amongst the nations. Right here, right now. What we're going through right now is so bitter, man. But also, the future is going to be sweet, man. What we're going through is so bitter, but what makes it even more sweet is knowing we're God's children, man. Is knowing that we're the children of God, man. That makes it more sweet, man. Everything we're reading is our history. The Bible is full of our history because it's our book, man. What we're reading, this ain't got no Arab man's history in there, no Chinese man or Japanese man's history or Esau's history in there. You know why? Because this ain't their book, man. This is our book. So the things that we're going through is bitter, but it's damn sweet to know that we're the children of God, to know that God only loves us, man. It says, and the Lord shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen. And we are left few in number among the heathen, because wherever we are, we're the what? We're the minority, man. We, the minority, but the incarceration rate, we're the majority. We're the minority, but the death rate, we're the majority. We're the minority, but when it comes to dying from all these diseases, we're the majority. You know why? Because that's because God's our Father and we disobey Him. Maybe it's time we start obeying Him, man, to lift these curses off us. It says, whither the Lord shall lead thee, and there ye shall serve gods. It says, and there ye shall serve gods, the work of men's hands. And guess what? We're in captivity right now, serving the work of men's hands. What are we serving? The Christian cross, man. We in church. We in church dancing. We in church dancing, man. We in church talking about what? We're talking in tongues, talking about, oh, God gave me a message. And then we're talking in tongues. The stupid things that we do. And listen, everybody knows it ain't true, man. Only black people going like that in church, man. Esau don't even go on like that in church, man. And the churches are his and he don't even go on that silly in there. Also, another thing, we're in church making up all these lies, go there and just come out and be the evilest sinners we can be, which lets you know the church ain't for us, man. The church ain't for us. The church is no different to the club. You see, the same thing, the strip club and the church is the same thing, man. Those two places is interchangeable. If I blindfolded you and took it into either one, you wouldn't know which one you was at, man. You wouldn't know if it was the church or the strip club, man. It says, and there you shall serve God's the work of men's hands, wood and stone. And then now, a ton of us is in what? Islam, thinking we're Muslim, the Kufi, talking about, oh, you have to put the right foot through the door first. Talking about you can't greet with your left hand, you can't shake no one's hand with your left. You put your right foot in the door first. You can't go through the back of your house. All of that nonsense, man. This is all this nonsense that we've learned here, all of this garbage. And then we're using all of these Arabic words. You see black men talking about astaghfirullah, alhamdulillah. What the hell is all of this nonsense? Do you know how stupid you sound? Black men speaking Arabic. And listen, the Arabs know you ain't no real Muslim, man. The Arabs know you ain't no real Muslim, man. Same like Esau knows you're not really British, man. And this is why they make all these monkey. We're gonna get that article as well later. This is why they make all these monkey noises when you're on the football pitch. If they thought you was English, they would just see you as the color of your football shirt. But they don't see that, man, because they understand that racism's alive, and they understand this, that no matter how much money you make, this is what they understand. No matter how much money Raheem Sterling and all these other English players make, they know that you're just beneath the lowest of the lowest white men, man. They know this, man. They don't care about how much money you make. You can be the richest man on the face of the earth, but if you're a black man to them, you're just a monkey, man. You're just a monkey. You're just a proverb and a byword that they want to make monkey noises at, man. I don't care how good of a footballer you are. You play for England. You can be the greatest English footballer ever. But guess what? You're still a nigger, man. You're still a nigger. And once you got on that football shirt, that white England shirt, you're still a nigger, man. And every time you get the ball, they make monkey noises at you. The other day, they had to stop the game 2 times for racism. They stopped the game 2 times for racism, man. And you mean to tell me that what? Racism's not alive? Listen, man. As long as we here and got black skin, racism's alive, man. And racism works, man. Because racism got them what? Racism got them riches. Racism got them all these banks. Racism got them all these companies they own, man. Racism got them Great Britain, man. The reason Great Britain's so great is because it was built off of racism. It was built off of one people being it was built off of one people being the slave of another people. It was built off of one people doing all the work, man. It was built off of one people being terrorized and tortured. That's what this country was built off. This country was built off of one people being oppressed. In order for someone to be happy, someone has to be oppressed, man. In order for someone to be rich, someone has to be poor. In order for someone to be at the top, someone has to be at the bottom. And we those people that's been oppressed, we those people that's been poor, we those people that's been at the bottom. And in order for that to happen, racism has to exist. Because Esau and these other nations, what do they understand? They understand that they don't want to be equal. They understand that they don't want to be equal with us. They understand that they want to be better than us, man. They understand in their race, they see it as my race should be the best race on the face of the earth. They see it as my race should be the number one superpower on the face of the earth. And my race should have to, my race shouldn't have to lift a finger. They see it as, why should I make my race work when there's black people that can do it for us, man? And guess what? The same way they treated us, we're going to have to do the same thing, man. In our kingdom, why should any black man have to work when we got them who can work, man? In order for us to be at the top, they have to be at the bottom. In order for us to break out the champagne glasses and be happy, they have to be poor, man. In order for us to be happy, they have to be oppressed. Them tables is going to turn and they ain't going to like it. But guess what? Whether they like it or not, they're going through it, man, because we had to go through it. They're going to know what it's like for their sons to be given to another people. They're going to know what it's like to get their back whipped when the task ain't complete. Let me read on. And there ye shall serve gods, the work of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. And we worship in what? Gods of wood and stone, man, which neither see. They ain't got no eyes. You think that cross you kissing's got eyes? You think that cross you kissing can kiss you back? You think that Cobblestone can kiss you back? It ain't got no lips, ain't got no senses, ain't got no feelings, it ain't got no eyes. And you're kissing it and worshiping it and bowing down to it, man. How are you bowing down to something that you're greater than, man? How are you worshiping something that you're better than, man? How are you worshiping a stone, man? When all stones is, listen, what we use stones for in here is to what? Put in front of the door, man, as a door stopper, man. You mean to say you're worshiping a door stopper? That's how stupid it is, man. You're worshiping a door stopper and you're going to tell me I must put on a kufi. Listen, that's the dumbest thing ever, man. I must put on a kufi and worship a door stopper. And then you come talking all these silly Arabic words. Listen, man, it's time to leave them stupid religions. Them religions ain't for black people, man. It's stupidity. It's stupidity. It's nonsense. And it's just childish, man. It's the most childish thing on the face of the earth. Give me a second. Let's go to Matthew chapter 11 and verse 12. So now, this is the part when we're in slavery. We're in slavery now. Matthew chapter 11 and verse 12. Give me a second. And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence. Now, the kingdom of heaven is what? It symbolizes either two things. The people, the people, or the place, or the people ruling. Read the kingdom of heaven, man. It says the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence. And who's suffering violence right now? We are, man. Ever since we've been in slavery, we've been suffering violence, man. Violence, man. They've been nothing but violent to us. Nothing but violent, man. Why you think putting a yoke on a man is, man? That's violent, man. Why you think whipping a man's back is? That's violent, man. All those things is violent, man. It says the kingdom of heaven suffer violence. We've been suffering all this violence, man. Getting our back whipped, getting shot by the cops. That's violence. Being manhandled by the police and killed. That's violence, man. And then what happens? We've been suffering violence by our oppressors for so long that what? We start to do violent things to one another. We see our slave master being violent to us, so guess what happens? We be violent to our very brothers who's in the same struggle with us. Our very, very brothers who's in the same household with us, man. Who's in the same house with us. Who's in the same situation with us. Who's going through the same things that we going through. Who's being oppressed how we being oppressed. And then what do? Be violent towards them. Listen, man, that should make us come together. That should make us say, you know what? This man's my brother, man. Me and this man need to come together. You know why? Because it's against all odds. Everybody's against us. And if me and him can come together, maybe we can overcome this oppression, man. Maybe we can stand on our feet, man. Maybe we can fight back. Maybe we can fight back, man. But what? We want to be an individual, man. We think we can do this by ourselves. We're just happy to be in slavery. We just want to go play football. We just want to go kick a football once a week on a football pitch for 90 minutes and run around in a white England t-shirt and talk about how British we are. When the other game, the football match that day, it showed you you're not British. It showed you you're not British. All them racist chants. Listen, racism's been going on in football for so many years, man. It's been going on for so many years. And then you thinking racism's going to stop? It's not going to stop, man. For Black History Month, what did they do? They gave, they changed the zebra crossing from the LGBT one to some African flag. It ain't even our flag that they gave us. It's some African colors, which has nothing to do with us. This is what they do. They give you these things to shut you up. What does a zebra crossing do for me? What does a zebra crossing do for black people? How about you give us back what you stole, man? How about you give us back what you stole, man? No point no point giving me this nonsense, and then you bring up racism and they tell you, oh, racism's in the past. No, man, racism's not in the past. Racism's in the future, man. Racism's present right now. Racism is everywhere you go. Even when you go for a job, racism's involved, man. They see your black sounding name, they don't want to give you a job. They see you're a black person, they're less likely to give you the job. The only way a black man gets a job nowadays is if it's some job that nobody else wants to do. Some job that nobody else wants to do, man. Even drug users, Edomite drug users, look at a normal black man that don't take drugs as his beneath them. So you trying to be equal with white people in this kingdom, it's not going to happen. They ain't going to allow you to be equal, man. Because they know there's no such thing as equality. And in here, we know that there's no such thing as equality. So when we at camp, blazing on them, telling every nation how we're better than them, and everybody wants to come up and fight us. They want to come up and fight us, man, because we saying we're better than all these other nations. They want to come up and fight us, man. Meanwhile, Esau's telling you every single day he's better than you. Every single day he's being racist towards you, making monkey noises, man. You see them Edomites at your job that act like they're not racist. Sure, listen, when they go home, they are racist, man. They call you a nigger. They call you a black this and a black that. They're racist behind closed doors, man. It's only you who's had the wool pulled over your eyes. You've had the wool pulled over your eyes to where you think, what? Everybody's equal now. That was in the 1600s. That was our oppressors back then. I mean, my boss is a white man that gave me a job. Listen, man, as I always say, the only reason he can give you a job is because what? He took everything that belonged to you, man. Basically, it's like this. Someone takes your whole cake and then gives you a slice back. and then you're happy that they gave you a slice back. No, man. We shouldn't be happy that they gave us a slice back. The whole cake belonged to us, man. Listen, anything that they do nice for you, just look at it like this. Really, it belonged to you in the first place, so they're not being nice to you, man. They're giving you back a crumb of what they stole. You're getting back a crumb of what they stole. You're thinking, oh, but he gave me this high-paid job. Listen, man, all these things was meant to be yours. You see the position that he's in? You was meant to be above his position. So don't let them pull the wool over your eyes and you thinking that they're equal and whatnot. But Matthew 11 and verse 12, and from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence, and the violent take it by force. And he says, and the violent take it by force. How was we taken, man? We was taken by force. They didn't say, oh, come hold my hand. We're going on a little trip. You was taken by force, man. You was rounded up. You was threatened. Nobody moved. You was rounded up. You was shackled. You was put on a slave ship. You was rounded up by Hamites. And then the Europeans would come, man. They would unload their slave ships, and they would buy you off the Africans. So they would give them what? They would give them like brandy. They would give them swords. They would give them glass. They would give them metal. They would give them just little nonsense stuff. Esau would give them nonsense stuff, and then the Africans would take it, and in exchange for these glasses, they would give you, and then you would go on what? That slave ship. Some was shackled at the bottom of the ship, and then sometimes used to let the kids roam around the ship, run around the ship, and then on that ship, they would unshackle some, and then you would be the entertainment, man. They would tell you to dance and keep on dancing. Imagine you had to dance and keep on dancing, man. You had to dance and keep on dancing. On that ship, they used you for entertainment. You had to sing them songs. You had to dance, man. And then sometimes all they'd give you is what? Instead of a drink of water, you would get like a tablespoon of water. I think it was a teaspoon. You'd get a teaspoon of water. And then when supplies was running low, there was a ton of slaves on the ship. The captain of the ship did what? He sailed past the Caribbean. So one time he sailed past the Caribbean, which means they didn't have enough supplies for the people that long. And then what did they do? For about 200 or 400 of them off the ship. They threw them off the ship. The ship was called, is it called the Widder? I'm sure that's how you pronounce it. They threw them off the ship because they didn't have enough supplies. And they said, you know what? We'll get paid back on the insurance. They threw them off the ship and said, we will get paid back on the insurance, man. They looked at you as an insurance scam. You know how people just crash cars and get paid out for it? How did you crash for cash? They treated you like you was crash for cash, man. That's how they treated you. So lucky, give me 1 second. I'm sure I got the book in here. Let me just have a look. Bear with me. I'm not sure this is the right book, but I'm just going to see. There's some great stuff in this book. Let me see. Wait 1 second. This might not be the book. Give me 1 second, but there should be some highlighted parts in this book. And also, first, when we was in the Caribbean was what? Ruled by the Spanish. So a little history on that is what? Jamaica, before they used to call it, I don't know how you pronounce it, was Zamaica with an X, used to spell it Xaymaca, and the Native Americans was there first, and then Columbus and them stumbled across it, which is a damn lie. They knew where they was going. So the natives was there at this time. Benjamin was where? Still in West Africa. We were still in West Africa. The natives was in Jamaica. The Spanish conquered it. The Spanish did what? Put the natives to work. So the Spanish put the natives to work. And then years down the line, Great Britain seen what? The British saw what? That what? This slavery thing is making some money. This country is making some money. It was called Zaymaka, which means what? The land of wood and water. Because that's what it was known for, wood and water. So then the British went there, they put 6,000 foot soldiers on the ground, and they started to go to war with the Spanish, started to slaughter the Spanish because they wanted the land. And then the Spanish surrendered. And this is why when in Jamaica, you have places now with Spanish names, Spanish Town. You have Spanish Town, and then you have De La Vega. And this is why some of the cities in Jamaica is named after Spanish names, because what? The Spanish conquered it first, and then the British said, you know what, this is bringing money. So they went there, fought with the Spanish, overthrew the Spanish, and then the Spanish surrendered, and then they went there, and then, because that was a Spanish colony at first, until the British captured it, and then the British sent for you from West Africa for you to come there, and then they put you on the plantations. And who knows, we would have thought what? We would have thought what? We're being saved from our slave master. Yes, we're going to be saved. And guess what happened, man? You just went from one slave master to another slave master. They see you as a product that makes money. So they was fighting over you, man. All these nations fight over you because they know that you make them money. They know that you make them rich. And that's what happened with Jamaica, man. That's what happened with it. But let me see if I can find something in this book. There you go. Let me see if I can find it. So it says the fate of Jamaican slaves was intimately linked to sugar canes, which by the end of the 17th century had become the true wealth of the island. So that's how they was getting rich, man, of sugar cane. So any damn body that's not non-black, Hispanic, and Native American Indian, they need to thank you for the sugar that they're putting in their coffee, man. They need to thank you for that coffee they're drinking, because you had to do all that work, man. All of that you had to do, man. Picking coffee beans and cotton and giving them all of those things. And they built sugar houses, and guess what? They put a muzzle on you so that you couldn't even enjoy this sugar cane. You couldn't even eat on the job, man. You couldn't even eat on the job. This is a picture of a slave ship right here. Let me just pull it to the camera. And then this is right here how they used to shackle you, man. Look at this picture here. They had the hook through his skin. So this is a black man that had the hook through his skin. Let me put it in front of the camera. I don't know how clear you can see that picture, but if you look here, there's the hook through his skin. So it's got a hook through his skin, and that's how they used to hook you, man. Like that, put change through your skin with a hook in there to keep it upright, man, and all of those kind of things. You know, when you read the scriptures where Christ had nails in his hands and feet, the same way the Romans nailed his hands and feet is how they used to do us, man. They used to pierce our skin. Same way they pierced our king's skin is the same way they pierced our skin in slavery, man. I don't know if you can see that picture, but yeah, that's what they used to do, man. The same way they pierced our king's skin, they pierced our skin, man. Nothing ain't changed with these people that's ruling over us. Nothing ain't changed, man. And then this is a part as well. It's going to tell you some of the suffering of the slaves. It says the same gardener then lists the tortures suffered by the slaves, ears and legs cut off. They had their ears cut off, their legs cut off. Imagine someone cutting off your leg, man. Listen, nowadays they put you under anesthetic. No. Back then there's no anesthetic, and what? Once they cut off your legs, you was what? Prone to infection, man. They'll just cut off your leg and so forth. Says and had your nose split. And they had their nose split, man. This is some of the tortures. This is the horrendous things that we went through. It says, or otherwise mutilated, was mutilated also, man. Flogging, branding on the cheeks. One slave, it says, was put to death by a mode of torture too horrible to relate to. Meaning what? The way that slave died. And remember, at the end of the day, just look at it like this. To us, it's our brother, but to them, it's just the slave, man. So they can do all these tortures. You see, like if you see a roach in your house, how you just kill it with a slipper. That's how they see a black man's life. A black man is just a roach. You see how roach is in the way, how roach is in your house disturbing your peace. Listen, man, they see black people like that, man. They see black people like what? Like a spider that's just in your house. You know, when you see a spider, you just whack it with a slipper. They see a black man is to them is just like a spider. A black man to them is like a spider, something you must just hit with a shoe, something you must just kill, and when you kill it, there's no reaction and there's just nothing. You just kill it and that's the end of it. That's how they see us, man. And why do you think they kill us so much? Because they know what? They're gonna go to court and nothing's gonna happen. It don't even make court half the time. It only makes court nowadays because what? We have the news. Just think of it like this. Once upon a time before social media, look how much black people you've done sin which have been killed by the cops, and you only find out what? Because of Facebook. Imagine the time when there's no Facebook. Imagine the time when there's no internet. Imagine the time you don't know what's going on in the next city, and someone in the next city don't know what's going on in your city, but you're both being killed alike, man. That's like us. Listen, we in England. Do you think we would know what's going on in America if it wasn't for the internet and Facebook? We wouldn't have a clue, man. We would think, oh no, racism stopped there. That's what we would think. We would think, oh no, racism stopped there. That's what we would think. But because of Facebook and the internet, we see all their crimes, man. All these crimes they commit against us, all this murder, all this slaughter, all this torture, man. We see all of it, man. This is the next part of the book. It says, during the age of enlightenment, the debate raged on in the name of which principle did the Europeans hold Africans captive. The duty of any Christian should be on the contrary to ensure his brother's liberty or his brothers. In order to treat Africans as beasts, some claimed there were no men. So in order for them to treat us as beasts, they claimed that we wasn't a man. They claimed, listen, these black people ain't men. These black people ain't humans. In order for them to treat us like garbage, man. And listen, this is another heavy part. It says black customs. This is going to tell you that how bad it was, man. It says slaves had to partly provide for themselves. So imagine you're doing all this. You're picking all this cotton, this sugar cane, cooking up all this food. It says slaves had partly to provide for themselves. And Leslie says that a lot of them could be found going through the master's dustbins. We was going through dustbins, man. They had us going through dustbins, man. They had all this food and wealth. and a black man had to go through the dustbin to eat, man. We had to go through dustbins to eat. Says in the countryside, they went naked, men and women fed on herring and saltfish, the cheapest provisions, and we fed on herring and saltfish. And what do we eat today? Saltfish, man. And saltfish was what? Ackee and saltfish was slave food, man. Ackee and saltfish was slave food. And then it is what now? It is the Jamaican national dish. And it's slave food. It was the cheapest things that they would give us. And then now that we make ackee and saltfish so good, have you seen the price of ackee right now? The price of ackee has gone up, man. That ackee that they sell you in a tin, I'm sure you're paying what, £5-6 for it, man. £4, either £4 to £6 for it, man. For that ackee in the tin, which was slave food back then. But obviously, us being Israel, being the greatest people on the face of the earth, we know how to make a meal out of nothing, man. Give us cornbread and hard bread and we make it work. I mean, corned beef. We have corned beef and hard bread. We make it work, man. We go through this struggle, but we find a way through this struggle. It says, countryside went naked and women fed on the herring and saltfish, the cheapest provisions. The masters encouraged them to chase the rats that infested the plantations. And then they encouraged us to chase rats, man. They encouraged us to chase rats. And it says, by exchanging 100 dead rodents with 2 bottles of rum. So what? We used to chase rats for 2 bottles of rum, man. You would have to exchange 100 dead rats for 2 bottles of rum, man. And imagine being a slave, man. All you're gonna want to do is get drunk, man, because you don't want to face what you're going through. And we go through that today, man. Black people go through that today. This is why they take all kinds of drugs. This is why they smoke weed, because they can't face the hardness that they're going through, man. They don't know how to deal with it. The only way they can cope with it is by what? Being high, man. By being high. Being strung off drugs. That's the only way they can face it, man. Is by being high, by being an alcoholic. Listen, man. We've got a new way to deal with it, man. Come into the I.S.U.P.K and we will show you how you deal with it. You don't need to take drugs to deal with it, man. We will show you how. Rats that infested the plantation by exchanging 100 dead rodents with 2 bottles of rum. They usually watered it down with brandy, added cinnamon and clove, nutmeg, and egg yolk in order to obtain the famous punch, also called the Kill Devil. This dark picture got a little bit better as time went by, and as the masters gave 1 or 2 acres of land to their slaves, they cultivated it and even sold the surplus at the market on Sunday. So what? They gave 1 acre of land. What's 1 acre, man? When I've been working, I've been working like a dog, man, and you're gonna give me 1 acre. This is another part of the book. It says on the plantation, says most of the slaves spent their entire life on the plantations. Imagine you spend your whole life on the plantation, man. Your whole life. You wake up, plantation. You have a nap, get up from that nap, plantation. You want to rest, plantation. You want to sit down, plantation. Imagine all you see is the plantation, man. And that's why the Bible says what in Deuteronomy? Your heaven shall be iron, and your heaven shall be iron, and your earth shall be brass, man. All we seen is plantation, 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 man. Hard times all around, man. Life on the plantation. Being unable to leave without permission. And was unable to leave without permission. Like now, man, imagine you're a grown man and you have to go to Esau and say, oh, can I have leave from work? Oh, I need 2 weeks off. And he tells you, I'll think about it. Listen, man, the same things they had, the same way they was living on the plantation is the same way you're living on your job. And this is why in the UPK, we call it a slavery, man. You have to get permission from him to take a holiday. You have to get permission from him to leave early. He does your rota and makes you work days that you can't work, makes you work days that you're not available, and has the cheek to say to you, if you can't do it, leave the job. This is how they do it, man. It says in this closed door society, the roles were precisely shared out. A plantation required huge investments. The planter needed to build a sugar house, a boiler, stables, and houses for the blacksmith, the carpenters, and the slaves aside, and usually upon some small hill stood his own house. And listen, man, your slave master didn't live on the plantation. Upon a hill stood his small house, man. You see when people say, oh, the house on the hill. He had his house on the hill, man. While you're living where all the rats are on the plantation, man. That's where you're living. While he had his house on the hill. So lucky, give me 1 second. And then he had his house on the hill. His house was on the hill. And where was you? You was on the plantation chasing rats. You had to bring 100 rats. Go ahead. You had to catch 100 rats for 2 bottles of rum. You chased 100 rats for 2 bottles of rum, man. That's in history. Let's read on. It goes, and usually upon some small hill stood his own house. Most of the times it showed off its owner's opulence. Opulence is what? Riches. Opulence is wealth. His house on the hill showed off his wealth. Meanwhile, where was you living? In some house where the rain would come through the house, man.
That's right.
Where there's like 8 of you to one, probably 10 of you to one room, man. Same like how black people was living when they did what? First came from the Caribbean to England. Just that my slavery the other day, I was speaking to a brother, man. He's old. He said he's 75. He said that his father sent for him when he was younger. He goes that his father said, England is what? The land of the free. And there's jobs there. And you know what he said to me? He said to me, black people's plan in the 60s and the 50s was to what? Only come to England and work for 5 years and go back. And then he goes, what happens is when you come here, you get sucked into the system and you realize that you don't save no money. He said that you come here and they charged you so much in rent that while you was trying to save money to go back home, all that money was going on the rent. Which sounds like your life today to me.
That's right.
I mean, you get paid $1,000 a month. And then by next month, by the week before the month ends, guess what? You have to be messaging everyone saying, oh, can you lend me this till next week? You have to be asking everyone, can you lend me this till next week because I've run out of money? It's not your fault you ran out of money. Just understand this slave master which rules over you sets it up like that, man. You know why? Because look at it like this. If he paid you what he's supposed to pay you on the job, guess what would happen? You would work for 5 years and you would never ever work again. So he has to pay you a living, they call it a living wage. And the reason they call it a living wage is what? So you can live off it, and then by next month, you have to work to get more. And that's how they keep you, man. So if you think you're going to work and get rich and get rich and get rich, I'm sorry to tell you, you ain't going to get rich, man. You're not going to get rich. They've got this whole system set up. Listen, he's so smart with it, man. He's got the system set up. And he's running the game, and you don't even know that he's running the game, man. It's like you're in a video game and he's got the controller. Right. He knows, man. He knows what he's doing. All these things, his trial run it. You think they don't have meetings behind closed doors and work out what the minimum wage is? And then guess what happens when you do get a pay rise? When you do get a pay rise, them Freddo chocolates go from 10p to 70p, man. Those Freddo chocolates cost 70 pence right now. Back in the days when minimum wage was minimum wage, £4 something, those was 10p. Now that minimum wage is, what's minimum wage now? About £8. It's about, is it?
$8.50.
$8.50 is minimum wage, man. And then now them Freddos has gone to 70p. They know exactly what they're doing. They call it a living wage. Because if you got paid all the money you really deserved, you would work for 5 years and you'd be like, damn this, I'm going to set up my own business. I'm going to set up my own business so me and my family is good. They can't have your family good, man. You know why? Because if you have a family of 5 and then you all work together, guess what happens? That's 5 less slaves for them. That's 5 less slaves for one of their families, man. That's five less slaves for them. So they ain't gonna have it like that. But let me read on. I'm almost finished on that, so I'm just say continue. Stood his house most of the times. It showed of his own as opulence. Opulence is what? Is riches and his wealth. Opulence is just like what? A big word for saying riches and wealth. Obviously, us black people don't use those kind of words. Opulence. I didn't even know what the hell it went. I had to Google it the first time I read it myself. Opulence. Us like would have just said, yo, it just showed off his riches. But they have to be smart. Opulence. Says, but the planters hardly lived on their plantation. Indeed, they spent their lives in Spanish Town or Kingston. Says the planters hardly lived on their plantation. They spent their lives in Spanish Town or Kingston, man. I'm sure it was Spanish. Yeah, that's right. Spanish Town used to be the capital of Jamaica. Right. This was before was the earthquake, right? That's right. Was the earthquake when basically it was destroyed, and then after that, the setup Kingston became the capital. But originally, when the Spanish was in Jamaica, Spanish Town was the capital. It was the major part. And this is why in Jamaica, you got places like, what is it, Manchester? Got places like Manchester. There's some next ones. They have Liverpool, not Liverpool. What's the next one? They got, I can't remember. They got tons of cities up there. English cities. Yeah, they got a ton of English. They got I know they got a Manchester up there for definite. So you see all these cities that you see in Jamaica. And then I'm sure in Jamaica, they got a Bank of England as well. The reason that's there is because what? Your slave master conquered it, man. Conquered the natives, ran out the Spanish, and then brought us there to work underneath them, and so forth. The planters not only live in opulence, reads the Voyega Francois, but in and drawn by 6 horses. So your slave master was what? Drawn by 6 horses, man. 6 horses. Preceded and followed by many people, as well as Negroes who run in front. So imagine this man's being pulled by 6 horses, and you have to run in front of the horse, man. You have to run in front of the horse. From what I know, horses is faster than men, right? Horses is faster than men, man, and you have to run in front of the horse. Just your slave master made you run in front of the horse. What's the need for all of that now? Him making us be a slave, that's one thing. But all of this next unnecessary stuff he's doing, you have to run in front of his 6 horses. All of this is to humiliate us, man. The same way your slave master humiliated you back then. Your slave master's humiliating you on the football pitch, making monkey noises. So, Lucky, can you just quickly pull the article for me? Did you see it? Yeah, the Euro game. Yeah. Says they have carriages drawn by 6 horses, preceded and followed by many people, as well as Negroes who run in front. In a word, Jamaica beats every colony as far as luxury and opulence are concerned. And then this is the next part. Let me just quickly read this. It says, but the wealthiest planters did not even live in Jamaica. So you know the richest planters, they didn't even live in Jamaica. They didn't step foot. It says some never set a foot on the island. Some didn't even step foot on the island, man. Some's never ever been to Jamaica. It says they left their property in the hands of an overseer. So they would have what? An overseer, kind of like your job today. The man who owns the company, you don't see him on the job. He has a manager. Same like what they did. An overseer is like a manager. They had a manager. It says while living a high-profile life in London. So they was living a high-profile life in London after proceeds of slavery. So they didn't have to work a day in their life. They would just have some overseer gathering up all that cotton, and then they would do all of that and work all out how much it's worth and sell it, and they was just getting money like that. Says they were so rich that the expression rich like a West Indian's planter became a popular saying. Like they were so rich that they used to say rich like a West Indian's planter. That was a saying, man. That was rich like a West Indian's planter. Back then, that was the saying, man. You rich like a West Indian's planter. It became a saying because they were so rich, man. They were so wealthy while you was eating possums and you was eating herons and you was eating saltfish, the cheapest food, man. That's what you was eating while you was going through your slave master's bins to eat, man. You was eating out of his dustbin. You was often walking around naked in hardly any clothes, searching through dustbins. Meanwhile, your slave master was so rich that they gave him they had an expression that said, rich like a West Indian's planter. That was their saying, man. But we can drop that now. You got the article.
This is from the BBC.co.uk.
This is the BBC.co.uk, man. Happy Black History Month, man. Go ahead.
Bulgaria versus England. Euro 2020 qualifier halted twice due to racist behavior.
It was halted twice due to racist behavior. And people say, oh, no, that's in the past. It don't sound like it's in the past. When was the game? Was it Sunday?
It was 2 days ago.
2 days. See, listen, it wasn't even Sunday. It was 2 days ago.
No,
Was it yesterday?
Yesterday.
It was yesterday, man. They halted the game 2 times due to racism. Go ahead.
From fans, England's Euro 2020 qualifier in Bulgaria was halted twice as fans were warned about racist behavior.
As fans were warned about racist behavior, and where's Bulgaria? Is what East Europe, Eastern Europe. It's an Eastern European country.
It's next to Romania.
Yeah, it's like they're like Romania. You know those Romanian people and is it Albanians and those kind of people? It's those kind of people, and also Bulgaria is meant to be. Well, it was from when we'd done a study on it in school many years ago. Bulgaria is what, the poorest country in the EU.
That's right.
It was. So is it still the poorest country in the EU?
Yes, Bulgaria and Romania.
So imagine the poorest country in the EU, so poor, and you got these black footballers making all this money, and they still chant it. They still know, as poor as they are and as rich as these footballers are, they still know that you're a nigger, man.
That's right.
They still know that you're a monkey, man. No matter how much millions of pounds you get, to them, you're always going to be a monkey. No matter how rich you are, you're always going to be a monkey. Go ahead.
Racist behavior, including Nazi salutes.
Including Nazi salutes, man. Which means what? These Bulgarians only ain't just being verbally racist. They're showing that they want you dead also, man. They're showing that they want to kill you and all sorts, man. If they could, they would. You think racism is just verbal, them calling you a nigger? Listen, it's deeper than that, man. They don't even want you playing football. Every time you touch a football, they want to show you how much of a disgusting nigger you are, man. They want to show you how much of a football you shouldn't touch. They would rather you be picking cotton somewhere. They would rather you be on drugs, dead in a ditch somewhere. Go ahead.
And monkey chanting.
And what?
Monkey chanting.
And monkey chanting, man. So much for us thinking that we're British. So much for us thinking that we're English. And then you have some of us in England that don't like Jamaicans, right? Listen, when you're a nigger, no matter where you are, you're a nigger, man. And they're showing you this. The Bulgarians is showing you this. The poorest country in the EU. Romanians who go through the trash. Romanians who wash car windows at the traffic lights, man. Go ahead.
All the escorts and the prostitutes.
Exactly. All the escorts and the prostitutes, them filthy ones, man. Even they understand that you're beneath them. They're so poor, but they look at you like you're a monkey. Go ahead.
A first per oars came in the 28th minute.
Listen, man. These devils couldn't even wait till half time to be racist, man. They had to be racist before half time. The first racist chant came in the 28th minute, man. And then forever you have these people saying, oh, racism should be kicked out of football. It's only the color of the shirt that matters. That's a damn lie, man.
That's right.
About the color of the shirt that matters. That's a damn lie. Listen, you see the chairman that runs the English football team. You think he's not racist too? The only reason why he's not racist is because he knows black people can help him win the World Cup, man. He knows black people can help him reach somewhere. You look at most of the English team, the black, right? Most of the English team is black, man. If they weren't on the pitch, England wouldn't even be in the qualifiers, man. Wouldn't even be playing in the Euro to qualify. So listen, being a black man and a footballer, and listen, if England did win the Euro and you did lift that trophy, you're still a nigger, man. And 100 years down the line from now, they're going to rub your name out the history books and they're going to give some white man the glory. Probably give it to Alan Shearer or what's his name, Michael Owen and whatnot. They ain't never ever gonna say that what a black man is the greatest English footballer ever. Listen, you ain't never gonna get that title, man. A black man thinking he can be the next David Beckham. They're not gonna allow you to be the next David Beckham, man, because they see you as a monkey, and all they want to do is make monkey chants when they see you. Go ahead.
England Eden 2-0. A stadium announcement then condemned the abuse before stating the match would be abandoned if it continued.
Stating the match would be abandoned if it continued. They ain't gonna abandon the match. That's a damn lie, man. They want that money. Go ahead.
However, the game would start again in the 43rd inning.
Hold on. I thought the game was gonna be abandoned if it continued. I thought it would have been abandoned. Don't sound like they abandoned it to me. Go ahead.
Before restarting, after discussion between the referee and the England manager, Gareth Southgate.
Listen, man. Gareth Southgate don't care about racism because he ain't black, man. Imagine you're on you there to do your job, man. And every time you get the ball, someone's making monkey noises, man. In every time you get the ball, man. And listen, you see these monkey noises. They've been making these monkey noises to us from slavery, man. And you're telling me, oh, that was just our oppressors back then. No, man. This is the same ones right now. Even Bulgarians don't like black people, man. When really, I'm sure they've got a bigger problem, man. They're so poor, man. They need to go get a job, man. But they're worried about you, man. They'd rather call you a nigger and make monkey noises to you, man, instead of them finding a job or instead of them sorting out their country. Go ahead. Anyone?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
England went on to win 6-0 in Sofia to strengthen their place in Group A.
England went to win 6-0, man, to strengthen their place in Group A. And I'm sure who scored? Was it Sterling?
That's right.
Listen, man. Sterling scored, man. And also, the English side is racist as well. You know how I know? Because one time in the World Cup, some black man called the Darius Bissau. Remember him, Darius Bissau? Missed the penalty. Can you remember him? He missed the penalty. He missed the penalty, and they ran him down into the ground, man. I'm sure he even went into hiding for a bit. It was that serious. They ran him down into the ground, man, because he missed the penalty for England. Basically saying what? He ain't really an English player. He shouldn't have been playing. That's how they really think. He ain't really an English player. He shouldn't be playing. Go ahead.
Racist abuse, clear as day. Now the Bulgarian boss says he didn't hear racist abuse.
He said what?
He didn't hear racist abuse.
He didn't hear racist abuse, man. Same like your oppressor when he thought you had a weapon. Same thing, man. He thought you had a weapon, so he shoots you, and you clearly didn't have no weapon. This man heard racist abuse, or he hears racist abuse so often, he's so racist to black people that when he hears it, it's just the normal. He didn't hear no racist abuse. He didn't hear no monkey chanting. He didn't hear no monkey chanting and not see no Nazi salutes. He had the audacity to say that he didn't hear no racist abuse, man. And Bulgaria, they're a garbage football team anyway, man. They're some rubbish football team anyway that's not even going to qualify. How do you lose 6-0 to England, and England ain't even a good side, man?
That's right.
Ain't even a good side, and they didn't hear no racist abuse. Listen, man, they ain't going nowhere in this in the Euros. Hold on, so the Euros is this summer, right?
That's right.
Hold on, so when was the World Cup? That was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Damn, that seemed like yesterday. But go ahead.
Right. One of the most appalling nights I've seen in the Football Association, Greg Clark was at the game and witnessed the abuse firsthand.
One of the worst nights they've seen in football. Listen, man, honestly, this is in most football matches, man. This is in most football matches. This ain't something new. When you understand how racism works, these things won't make you cry, man. These things won't upset you. These things won't make you say, oh, he's so ignorant. You just understand that it's his nature, man. You understand that he can't help himself. Go ahead.
I saw the abuse firsthand, saying it had left a number of the England players and staff visibly upset.
It had left what?
England players and staff visibly upset.
Honestly, man, the only ones that are upset is the black ones, man.
That's right.
Because really, they think, you know what? I've made it out of the ghetto. I'm a footballer. I'm picking up, 100K a week. I'm picking up 100K a week. And I'm playing for the English side. So ESO should love me because I'm one of the best players on the team. And listen, man, the Bulgarians, man, they hate black people, man. Go ahead.
And you know what's funny? Like, they hate black people when among other white people, like the African, the Polish, the
Mm.
other races.
Mm.
Romanians and the Bulgarians, they're trash. Like
Yeah, exactly.
amongst all them, they look at them like
exactly right. They look at them like they're the lowest of the low. Even Esau don't like what his brothers who are Romanian or Polish. They look at them like they're dirty, and they look at them like They look at them like horribly. And just imagine how horribly they look at the Polish and Romanians. Just understand that they're looking at us worse than they look at them, man. So no matter how much you try to fit in, it's not gonna work. You're black, man. So there's no point you trying to bend your ways and trying to you're white and you're some next nationality. Everywhere you go, there's gonna be racism, man. Like I said, there's racism on your job. There's racism everywhere you walk. There's racism in your next door neighbor's house. You think they ain't saying, "Oh, them black neighbors making too much noise. Them black people always making chicken. I can smell their jerk chicken from here." Listen, there's racism everywhere, man. Go ahead.
I heard examples of appalling racist chanting. He said,
See, they had racist chanting, and racist chanting means what? It's just not one person being racist. It's all of them being racist on one accord, man. Go ahead.
So how did the Bulgarian manager say he didn't hear them?
Exactly when there was chanting. Now, a stadium so big that it holds so much people in there. If only one person's being racist, obviously you wouldn't hear it. But he said racist chanting, meaning what? You see how everyone sings that song, that Liverpool song, "You'll Never Walk Alone Again." All of them was chanting racist stuff together, man. Which means what? Some of them have never met each other, but they've got one thing in common. They hate black people, man.
That's right.
One thing in common, they hate black people. They've never met each other. They've just gone to watch a football match. And their one thing in common that they hate black people, is what brought them together, which is what brought them together, man. Which is what brought oneness between them. That racism brought oneness between them, man. It made them unite. They united off what? Off your race, man. They united off hating your race of people. Go ahead.
I was looking at a group, all in black, about 50 of them, who were making what looked like political fascist gestures.
Listen, man. Go ahead. And it Nazi salute, like all of this and whatnot. There was 50 of them, all in black. 50, that's a whole lot. That's a whole big number, man. Just imagine if outside of that stadium they see one black man just going about his business. He's finished, man. And guess what? You think it's acceptable to love these people, man? It's not, man. That them on that.
Yes, last week. Yeah, I've spoken to one or two of the players, and I've also spoken to one or two of the backroom staff, because we don't just have a multiracial team, we have a multiracial backroom staff. They were visibly emotionally upset.
Just visibly emotionally upset. You know, the only reason you would be upset at Esau's racism is what? Is if you want their love, man.
That's right.
When you understand who they are and who they're supposed to be, you couldn't give a damn about their love, man. You couldn't give a damn about their racism. They want to call us niggas, let them do it, man. But guess what? We're going to call them some names too, man. And they don't like it. You see, when we at camp, when we blaze on them at camp, what happens? They're almost drawn to tears, man. Say, "Oh, what are you being racist for?" Meanwhile, right here, they're being racist. And I don't see no one defending us against these Bulgarians. But guess what happens at camp? Some black man or black woman has to come up and hug them and tell them, "Don't listen to these lot." Tell them this ain't of God. That's what they want to tell them. This ain't of God. Look how you're speaking. God loves everybody. Listen, man. Where was the love at this Bulgarian game, man? Where was the love when they're doing their gestures? Where was the love when they're making monkey noises? To them, black people is just monkeys, man. Black people is just monkeys and niggers. And during Black History Month, they like to remind you that you're just a monkey and just a nigger. They don't ever want to tell you that you're the greatest thing on the face of the earth. They don't want to tell you that you're God's chosen people. They don't want to tell you that God only loves you. Did anyone that about it?
Yeah,
You go ahead.
Just the tweet from Marcus Rashford. Not an easy situation to play in, and not one which should be happening in 2019.
No, he said not one that should be happening in 2000. Listen, man, this racism is going to be happening in 2059, man. In 3099, man.
That's right.
It's going to be happening, man. Because they understand that by them being racist keeps them on the top, man. They don't believe in no equality. If I could give me Ecclesiasticus chapter 12 and verse 10. All Rashford wanted to do is just go there and prove himself to his oppressors how good of a footballer he is. He just, thinks it's a sport. To you, it's a sport. To them, it's not a sport, man. They would kill you if they could. Ain't no sport to them.
That's right. Ecclesiasticus 12 and 10. Ever trust thine enemy.
Listen, man. You've been trusting your enemy for far too long. You've been trusting your enemy for far too long. You're thinking, you know what? Because I got on the England shirt, that's going to make him love me. Because what do they call it? Post-racial. Is that what they call it? Post-racial, whatever the hell that means we passed racism. Listen, man. You're post-racial. What does the Bible say?
Never trust thine enemy.
No, he's changed because that was the past.
Never trust thine enemy.
The Bible says never trust thine enemy, man. That man is your enemy. He's your enemy for as long as you live, man. He's your enemy. He's our enemy, man. Instead, we want to make enemies of our own nation. When all our enemies, 50 of them came together to come against us, man. 50 of them came together to do racist chants. 50 of them came together to do that. Go ahead.
For like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness.
So as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Like you see, iron is going to rust one day. And you see this man, his wickedness is going to come out one day, man. In that football match, it took 28 minutes for his wickedness to come out, man. It took 28 minutes for him to show you how evil he is and how much he hates you and how much he can't stand to see you on the pitch. And when they see a black man on the football pitch, they think back to slavery days. They think this man should be on the cotton fields, man. They would rather you be on the cotton fields. When they see Usain Bolt breaking all those records, this is what they say. They say, "Oh, black people are only fast because the slave," something along them lines. They're only fast because the slaves and they used to. Oh, this is what they say. Oh, black people are only fast because they used to running from the police. All of that. You heard them ones, right? Black people are only fast because we used to running from the police. Listen, man. We fast because God made us fast, man.
That's right.
And you're slow, and you ain't good at nothing, and you will never beat us in a fist fight. You will never be the greatest boxer on the face of the earth. You will never be the fastest sprinter on the face of the earth. You know why? Because the Lord ain't with you, man. And the Lord made you with no attributes, man. The Lord gave you some low attributes. You see, like on a video game when you create a player, the Lord created you with the boringest attributes ever, man. The Lord gave you no style, no swag, no nothing, man. Whereas we had high attributes for everything, man. Our attributes is so high that it almost makes it not fair, man. A black man racing against a white man makes the race not fair, man. Straight away, you see when Mike Tyson's all washed up and loses to Esau and whatnot, they make a big deal out of it, man, because they can't believe like, wow, we beat a black man who we're not supposed to beat. Whereas us black people, we're so strong. I mean, we're meant to beat you up, man. It's just normal. Just beating you up is just normal. Whereas if you see an Edomite and a brother fighting now, and the brother wins, he's supposed to win. So it's not that big of a deal because he's meant to win. But if the Edomite wins, everyone's like, wow, he lost to him, blah, 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 blah. You know why? Because we're not supposed to lose to you, man.
That's right.
We're supposed to win. And then this is why they gloat about their one win. Chris Weidman gloating about how he beat Anderson Silva. Listen, Anderson Silva was old, man. How old was he at that time? 39, 38?
Yeah, that was 39.
Listen, Anderson Silva was 39, man. Listen, Anderson Silva was slowing down from he was about, what, 34, 35?
That's right.
He was slowing down from when he was about 35, man. You beat him years later. I still think he got lucky. But you beat an old man, and then guess what else happened? You fought Yoa Ramiro, a Cuban brother. What happened, man? He almost took his head off, man. Guess what happened? He fought another brother, Jacare. Took your head off, man. Which lets you know, man. Listen, they ain't strong, man. All these, you see all these boxers and whatnot. They just only target black people and black people's out of their prime. Like that man that beat the one that beat Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins is an old man. Bernard Hopkins would have wiped the floor with him in his prime, man. Also, what's his name? The one that fought Roy Jones when he was old.
Oh, Joe Calzaghe.
Yeah, Joe Calzaghe. Who else did he beat? He beat what, Eubank as well? He was old too, right?
Yeah, he came out of retirement to take the fight.
See, and this is the thing, man. They beat up old people. They ain't gonna fight no one in their prime, man. They ain't gonna fight no one in their prime. And then you see if Mayweather does lose, it's gonna be because it's because of the bribe, the blackmailed him or bribed him with some money, and he's come back and he's lost because he's old, or he's took a dive. And guess what? They're gonna make sure he loses to some Edomite, man. They're gonna make sure he loses to some Edomite. When we know the way Mayweather, listen, Ricky Hatton was defeated when he fought Mayweather, man. And you saw what Mayweather done to Ricky Hatton. Mayweather ran laps around him, man. Do you see how Mayweather boom, dropped him, his head hit the... Listen, only a black man's got them kind of skills, man. I'm telling you, only a black man's got them kind of skills to do that, a professional fighter. Only we can do those kind of things, man. All these records, we set them 100 meters, the relay. Remember when Jamaica won that relay? Listen, man. England didn't stand a chance in that relay. I'm sure England had about probably a Benjamite on the team, right? Probably had one. And usually another thing, with the Olympics, the English team is mainly made up of Benjamites, man. And you see all these movies, man, white men can't jump. They had to make a movie to make them jump. Because in real life, they can't jump, man. Ain't got no good basketballers. And I mean, I see why the Bulgarians is racist to us, because what? I mean, look how great we are, man. Look how great we are. It's like when someone's beating you on a video game, what do you say? Oh, you're cheating, man. You're just using the same buttons. They see us as cheating, man. Our genetic build-up is a lot better than theirs, man. God made us that way. Go ahead, go ahead.
Even like Eminem, on the film 8 Mile, they had to make him win all battles.
Exactly.
And what's funny is, even on the film, before the last battle, he lost that battle.
Exactly. Is that the one when he choked? When he choked in that battle?
His first said, right, the first guy he beats is the last rap battle at the end of the film where he beats the big guys. But the one before the last one, he beat him on his own film.
Yeah.
They made him win.
Yeah, exactly. And then now, also with record sales, when you look at it now, they say Eminem sold more records than Biggie and Tupac now. That's what they say, he sold more records than Biggie and Tupac. Listen, man, let me tell you something about records. When you're a white boy like Eminem, white people buy the music, man. When you're black, listen, you being black yourself, you don't buy records, you bootleg them, man. I have the CD and you ask me, can you burn it off? I have the bootleg version and you tell me to copy you on. I pull it in my laptop and I burn it for you. If we included that, Tupac and Biggie would have way more record sales, man. But while it is, black people don't buy records, man. You think black people buy records? Nah, man. We bootleg it, man. Or we borrow the CD, or we used to record it on a tape. Whereas Esau would do what? Get the vinyls of Elvis Presley. That's why their record sales is so high. And why do people say, oh, if you want to make it in the rap game, you have to go commercial? You know why you have to go commercial? Because Esau buys records, man. Black people don't buy records. Black people don't buy records, man. That's common knowledge. When is the last time you've gone to HMV and said, you know what, I'm going to buy this album? Listen, I had Get Rich or Die Trying, and that was a bootleg. I had Tupac The Resurrection, that was a bootleg. Every CD I've had is a bootleg version. I had Until the End of Time, that's a bootleg. Every version I've had is a bootleg, man. My rib had Tony Braxton's album, that was a bootleg, man. We don't buy records, whereas Esau buys what? Records. He buys Elvis Presley CDs and so forth. Is there any more in that, or is that about it?
Though he humbled himself,
man. He humbles himself, puts a tweet saying, oh, that racism shouldn't exist. I'm not racist no more. That's in the past. Though he humbled himself. Go ahead.
And go crouching Yet take good heed and beware of him.
Yet take good heed and beware of him. You need to be beware of this man, man. You gotta be aware of this man. Because this man ain't here to do your life no good. This man is only here to make your life horrible and miserable. This man is here to only what? Slaughter you, man. That's all he's here for. You're thinking he's gonna one day love you, man. Though he humble himself. Go ahead.
And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust has not been altogether wiped away.
Listen, man, his wickedness ain't been wiped away, man. You're thinking, oh, that was in the 1600s. He's changed now. He's not evil no more. He's not evil no more. Listen, man, he's still evil, man. His wickedness is still there, and it shows every day. That Bulgaria football match showed Bulgarians, which is the lowest of the low, man, which is the poorest of the poorest, which clean car windows where they put, what they do, is it just fairy liquid they have in there? Yeah, they put washing up liquid in and try to ruin your windshield glass, man. Put it on your windscreen and beg you for money. And the thieves as well, man. Do you know what they do? You see, listen, if you don't believe me, try it out. When they come and clean your car, just give them 50p. And what they would do is, this is what they do. They take the 50p, like you give them like this, and this is what they do. They knock the side of your car like, and they say, oh, it dropped in the car. So you give them another 50p. Have you seen them do it? That's what they do. Listen, they'll hustle you, they'll do it. That's what they do. They knock the side of it like this. And then they say, oh, it dropped in the car. And you be looking in the back trying to get the money. And then because the lights is about to change, what happens? You go into your pocket and give them another pound or another whatever you gave them. The thieves, man. They're the ones with the gold teeth, right?
Yeah.
They're the ones with the gold teeth. They're probably fake as well. They're the ones that try and sell you the fake gold as well. They try and sell you the fake gold. Listen, man, they're so poor. You think I'm going to trust their gold? They try and sell you the fake gold, man, and all that nonsense. The Bible says, man, beware of him, man. You need to beware of this man. Go ahead.
Set him not by thee, lest when he has overthrown
So
thee.
set him not by thee, man. Don't even have him nowhere near you, man. Separation, man. Understand this. That Great Britain ain't the place you think it is, man. The England team ain't the thing you think it is. You're thinking the England team is all this and that. You need to understand the English team ain't what you think it is, man. You're thinking everyone on the English team, yeah, we won because we all play for England. It's supposed to be that way, but it's not that way, man. It's not that way, man. And what, we're leaving the EU. When did they say we're leaving the EU? The end of this month, right? They say we're leaving the EU the end of this month. At my slavery today, they were saying, what's funny enough, we caught some Romanians stealing today, actually. And the police officer that came said to him, you're lucky it's not the end of the month because we're clamping down on immigrants and we're calling the immigration office for everything, man. So all them Romanians and whatnot that are stealing and that are doing whatnot, they're going to just call the immigration office on them and see if they're legal. And a ton of them is going to be sent out of the country, man. Back to Bulgaria, man. Back to Romania, where they can do all their nonsense. Go ahead.
Overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place.
And listen, man, he will overthrow you and stand in your place, man. That's what they want to do. They want you overthrown, and already they've overthrown you and standing in your place. Them ruling the earth is them in your place, man. You're meant to be ruling this place. The Lord gave this earth to you, man. The Lord gave this earth to you. But now they've overthrown you, and they're standing in your place, and you're standing in their place. Now you're chasing rat, trying to bring 100 rats for 2 bottles of rum. That's what they've got you doing, man. Go ahead.
Either let him sit at thy right hand.
Listen, man, stop trying to be this man's friend, man. Stop trying to be his right hand, man. Stop trying to be his friend. Stop trying to thank him for the job he gave you, man. Like I said, it's like the whole cake was yours and someone took the whole cake and gave you back a slice and you're happy for that slice. Nah, man, you meant to have the whole cake. How are you happy for a slice when the whole cake was yours, man?
That's right.
That's what they're basically doing to you, man. Took the whole cake and just gave you a crumb of it and you're happy for that crumb. Well, so one time me and Crawford was there, some brother said to us, I can't hate Esau because he gave me a job. The reason he gave you a job is because he took the whole cake and gave you back a slice, man. So you're happy that he took millions from you and now he's just giving you £8 an hour. You're happy. Listen, him giving you a job should make you resent him even more, man. Because he's giving you something that belonged to you anyway.
That's right.
You have to ask him what days can you have this day off? And he's telling you, no, you can't have this day off. When you work and the boss walks around, you're on edge, trying to hide because you don't want him to see you talking and whatnot. You're on edge, knowing that your fate, whether you have a roof over your head next month is in this man's hands. What kind of life is that, man? You not knowing where you're going to stay tonight. You not knowing if you're going to have a roof over your head next month. Him telling you got a disciplinary. You scared for your life, man. Him having you depressed. All because of a job and all because of what he stole off you, man. Go ahead. Any more? Is that about it?
Lest he seek to take thy seat, and thou at last remember my words and be pricked therewith.
Listen, man. Ton of us didn't remember these words, man. And a ton of us have to learn the hard way, man. A ton of us have to learn the hard way. You go and join these people. Like even now, you got what? saying this. Those an Edomite and a brother committed the same crime. Those together when they committed the crime. How come the Edomite got like 6 years less than the brother and they both committed the same crime together? He got 6 years less, man. And you're telling me this justice system's fair? It's not fair, man. And it's not set up to be fair towards you, man. Drop that. Give me John 8:32 and then we'll close it out on that. Ecclesiastes
9 and 4 to 12.
Ecclesiastes or Ecclesiastes in
Ecclesiastes in
the Bible. What is it? 9 and
Ecclesiastes 9 and 4 to about verse 12.
Let's see what it says. Put it in. Go ahead.
John 8 and 32. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
Go ahead. No, read it again from the top.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It says, ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free, man. Listen, man. Knowing the truth makes you free. Knowing the truth makes you understand everybody's racism, man. Knowing the truth makes you understand everything what's going on in life. It makes you free, man. And because we don't know this, how do we try and get free? We try and get free by getting high, man. That's the only way black people know how to get free is getting high because they're oppressed, man. They only know how to get free with alcohol by getting drunk, man. That's the only way we know how to get free. But the Bible says, how do we truly get free?
Ye shall know the truth.
So listen, man, you don't need to be an alcoholic to get free from all this pain and suffering, man. You don't need to smoke drugs to get away from all this pain and suffering. All you need to do is know the truth, man. And then you won't cry when they tell you how much they hate you, man. Then you won't cry when they make monkey noises. Then you won't cry when they do all these chants. Get the question and then we'll close out after that.
Ecclesiastes 9 and 4. For to him that is joined to all the living.
Go to verse 3.
Verse 3. There is an evil among all things that are done under the sun.
It says there's an evil among all things that are done under the sun. And then what's under the sun? The earth is under the sun. So it's basically saying there's evil that is done on the earth. Go ahead.
That there is one event unto all.
So in life, there's one event unto all. One thing is going to happen to all men. And that one event is what? That we're all going to die. So that's what that one event is, that we're all going to die one day. Go ahead.
Yea, also the heart of the sons of men is full of evil.
Also what?
The heart of the sons of men is full of evil.
And the heart, your heart, when it says heart in the Bible, it's talking about your mind. Their mind's full of evil. All they do is do evil, want to carry out evil. Like nowadays, you got what? People living reckless. People being drug dealers. Women being whores. Everything they do is full of evil, but there's one event to all that we're all gonna die. But people are just living recklessly. People don't want to know God. People don't want to acknowledge God. Go ahead.
And madness is in the heart while they live.
And while they're alive, there's madness in their mind, man. The things that they're doing, black on black crime, shooting each other, stabbing each other, taking drugs, doing all this kind of evil. Madness is in their heart while they're living. While they're alive, like while you're living, you've got the choice to do right. But while they're living, they're just doing the evil. Like this one event ain't gonna come. Go ahead.
And after that, they go to the dead.
So you live like that, and then after that, you go to the dead, meaning what? You go under the ground when you die, man. You get buried. Go ahead.
For to him that is joined to all the living, there is hope.
And when a man's alive, there's hope. You know why? Because a man can change his ways, man. There's hope. And for all that is joined unto the living, and also the living is what? Living in the Bible is also what? Symbolic for a man who's living righteous and whatnot.
Right.
You see, a man who's joined to the living, there's hope. You know why? Because if he's doing what? Like in this context, what the living people's doing, the righteous people's doing, if he's doing what they're doing, he's going to be living also. There's hope. Say, for instance, like if you're in the I.S.U.P.K, there's hope for you, man, because you're amongst the living. Whereas everybody out there, they're amongst the dead and they're going to die physically also. Go ahead.
For a living dog is better than a dead lion.
For a living dog is better than a dead lion. You know why? Because a living dog has life, man. A living dog can walk, can do whatever, can do this, can do that. But a lion's meant to be what? The king of the jungle, right? A lion's meant to be known as a big animal king of the jungle and whatnot. But a lion, once it's dead, a living dog is more dangerous than a dead lion. You know why? Because this dead lion can't do nothing, man. But this living dog can. This living dog's got the ability to do what? Get food, go here, go there. But this dead lion can't do anything. And also, you see all these drug dealers that you look up to, all these drug dealers, these criminals that you look up to. You see all these Lucky Lucianos, these mafias and whatnot. You could say they're like a dead lion. People look at them and hold them in high esteem. Like, oh, this person such and such. What? They're dead right now, man. They're like a dead lion. There's nothing they can do right now. There's nothing they can do. Whereas a man that's lowly, that's little, like a dog's meant to be lowly and little, and the lion's meant to be great. A man that's low and keeping God's laws, he's better than what you look at as something great, man. Go ahead.
For the living know that they shall die.
For the living know that they shall die. And you know that one day you're going to die. So common sense would say what? Serve God, man. You're not going to be getting away with this wickedness forever. It would let you know this life of sin don't last forever. It would let you know that this life of sin is temporary. It would let you know that the wages of sin is death. You know that one day you're going to die. The living know that one day you're going to die. Go ahead.
But the dead know not anything.
But the dead know not anything. So once you're dead, that's it. You don't know not nothing because you're dead. You don't know. Go ahead.
Neither have they any more reward, for the memory of them is forgotten.
Neither have they any more a reward, for the memory of them is forgotten. And when it says for the memory of them is forgotten, it's not talking about their memory. It's on about us, as in what was your great granddad's name? See, you don't know. His memory is forgotten, man. You don't remember your great granddad's name. You know why? Because his memory is forgotten, man. And who knows how your great granddad was living? You don't know because his memory is forgotten, man. People read this like he's talking about their memories forgotten. Listen, man, they're dead. They don't know not a thing. And over time, what happens when someone dies? Each day you talk about them less and less and less, man, until one day you don't talk about them at all. I mean, when was the last time your mom mentioned their great granddad? Never. Because why? Their memory is forgotten, man. Everything that they done on the earth ain't remembered, man. Because their memory is forgotten. Go ahead.
Also their love and their hatred and their envy is now perished.
And listen, everything that they loved, they can no longer love it no more, man. Everything that they hated, they can no longer hate it no more. You know why? Because they're dead and they don't know not a thing. They don't even know what they love and hate right now. They're dead and they don't know not a thing. Go ahead.
either have they any more a portion forever in anything.
Neither have they have a portion forever in anything. So while black people are doing these things at their funeral where they're putting food under a tent, they can't even eat that portion of food, man. They don't have a portion in anything. All that money that they had in their bank, they can't spend it, man. All that drugs money that got put down, they can't spend it, man. All them drugs that was going to bag up tomorrow, they can't bag them up tomorrow, man. Because they don't have a portion in anything. Anything else? Not that about it. And then hopefully that answers your question. And with that, we're going to do the prayers, and then we are over here. And also, Sunday, like I said in the start of the class, we're closing the Feast of Tabernacles. You know, there's a holy convocation at the start and one at the end. And also, the sister Tazanawi, like I said again, she's got a cake and wine event from 3 p.m. till 6, where if you'd like to, you bake a cake, and then the winner gets a prize, and they're going to have things for the kids, and they're going to have wine and all these next things. Obviously, my man, I can't remember what they're going to have, but you know how the sisters do it, how they like to, you know, have all these games for the kids. If it was me, it would just be PlayStation, but obviously the sisters is creative and got all these arts and crafts and all these other things. So that is Sunday, 394 Lodge Road. All blacks and Hispanics is welcome. Then after that, we're going to follow that up at 7 p.m. with the closing of the Feast of Tabernacles, man, where we're going to eat and drink. And you're going to see brotherhood and whatnot. With that, we're going to do the prayers and announcements. And we out of here. We're up on the time. Also, tomorrow, class is here, 7 p.m. tomorrow.
That was a powerful class. So let's give Officer Dunbar a hand first and foremost.
You got some there? Or?
No,
sir.
All
right, no, sir.
All right, we are the I.S.U.P.K. Started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Ruled for a new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They're here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After the 6 months, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment, Numbers 18:21, Malachi 3:8-10, means 10th in the Hebrew Ma'ashra. 10% of any increase the Lord gives to the Treasury Department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming holy convocation is the closing of the Feast of Tabernacles on the 24th of October.
20.
So on the 20th of October, sundown, which is on a Sunday. Remind all Akim and Aqua to check the bulletin boards in the hallway and check all I.S.U.P.K social media as well. Facebooks, Instagrams, YouTubes, everything that we have. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, start wearing all black boots, shirts, pants, headbands, and scarves. And with that, we're going to rise and face the east and the Lord's Prayer. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayah, Kodash, Hayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malakwaka, Taba'ah, Ratazaka, Hayah, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Kawo, Hayah, Ba'Shemaya, Lefilanawa, Lekam, Cow, Yawam, Wasalaknawa, Kabawaknawa, Kasalaknawa, Kabawakinawa, Wala'ah, Tabaya'ayanawa, Banisayawan, Abod, Habashainawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Wahathapara, La'aiwalamyam, Amen.
In English, our Father,
our Father,
art in heaven,
which art in heaven.
Hallowed be thy name.
Hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom
Thy
come.
will be done.
Thy will be done
In earth
in earth
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day
Give us this
our
day
daily bread.
our daily
And
bread.
forgive us our debts.
And forgive us our
As we
debts
forgive our debtors.
as we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not
And lead us not
into temptation.
into temptation,
But deliver us
but deliver us
from evil.
from evil.
For thine is the kingdom.
For thine is the kingdom
And the power.
and the power
And the glory.
and the glory
Forever.
forever.
So be it.
So be it. And with that, we're going to give the teacher one courtesy salute. Men of Israel, I'm Madim Shabbat. I'm Madim Barak. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai Barak Athar.
Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shabbat Kafam.
Yad Yam Natah. Class dismissed.